Hey, welcome to week 7. Wow, 7 weeks, guys. I love this. You have no idea of the joy I get doing this every week. I'm so in my element. Week 7, we're going to cover the 6 core needs. Now, I'm not sure how many people have heard of the core needs. I know all the people that have worked with me have heard about it, and I'm pretty sure the core needs originally come from Tony Robbins. I could be wrong, but I think that's where they were originally founded. So anyway, the 6 core needs. The top 4 I'll cover first, and then I'll go into the last 2. But the top 4 are what we use every day, all day, for everything. So a person who needs nothing cannot be controlled. When we fill our own needs, we don't need anyone or anything to do it externally. Now, these needs are in everyone. There are no exceptions whatsoever. None. So no one can say, I don't have that need, that's not for me. Well, guess what? Every one of us has these needs. And most of us, unless you have done this work and are in doing this work, or, basically live a conscious life, have these needs met externally. We're not even aware of it. That's what's scary. We're not even aware of it. And again, this was something I learned on my journey, and it gave me so many answers to so many things that happened in my life, and it was so many pieces of the puzzle being put back in. So basically, these needs sit beneath everything we do, be it conscious or subconscious. So your top 4 are safety, comfort, and certainty. The next one is variety and change. Then we have significance, and then we have love and connection. Now, each one has a different description, which I will go into with you. These needs, when met externally, give everybody else the power, right? So our first one is safety, comfort, and certainty. Now, when we talk about safety, certainty, and comfort, it's what's familiar to you. And remember, go back to the nervous system and your blueprint. Whatever was familiar to you is what your safety, certainty, and comfort will be. So the examples I give here are unhealthy, toxic relationships, jobs that where you're in a job that you don't want to be in, but you fear so much leaving. Okay, so fear takes over. The being in a relationship that is toxic, dysfunctional, you're getting the bare minimum, you're just settling. You would rather stay in that than be alone, because the fear of being alone is greater than the fear that you have of being in this particular relationship or job. And we tell ourselves these stories, like with the job. You don't just say, you know what, no way, my worth is so much better than that. I have higher standards and I deserve to be treated better. You go straight down to I've got to pay for the bills, I've got to pay for the mortgage, I've got to look after the kids, I've got to do this with my wife, blah, 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 partner, husband, whatever. And we justify staying in those positions, those jobs, those situations. But that's because it's familiar. So if you grew up with low self-worth, low self-esteem, unpredictability, chaos, trauma, stress, people that are unavailable emotionally, things like that, you're going to stay in that. And one of the examples I'm going to give you is domestic violence. And I'm going to use that because that was my upbringing. When someone says to a person, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you just leave? And the person doesn't know the answer, because the fact is they are so addicted to that cycle of the chaos, the unpredictability, the stress, the dopamine hits and things like that, that they actually are so wired to stay in that type of an environment. So their safety, comfort and certainty is being in an environment like that. You're asking them to jump out and go to something that they don't know. That is way more scarier, because they know what that cycle at home is going to be like. They know the love bombing, the gaslighting, the devaluing, the discarding, then back to the cycle of love bombing, all of that, right? They know that cycle, so it's familiar. They know how to handle that. What they don't know how to handle is what happens if they go outside to the unknown. That is scary. And I know that, people that haven't lived in that environment don't understand that. But that's how the brain and the nervous system works. It's the familiar, okay? And it's also addicted to the dopamine highs and lows. So it's like, the trauma bonds. It's that, they can be horrible and horrible and horrible, and then suddenly they'd be nice. And that dopamine hit of being nice takes over all the shitty things that were done. That's what happens when you get into those cycles. The next one is variety and change, and that is where people get bored. Monotony. I can't even say that word properly, but you know what I mean. Relationship hopping, affairs, looking for the bigger, better deal, jumping from partner to partner, job to job, just not happy, just bored. So they're looking for excitement and, risk-taking anywhere. Again, that's their familiar. And what happens is they're looking for risk-taking and adrenaline hits and just that excitement of something new, because being in something stable to them is boring, but it's just that their nervous system doesn't know how to handle like peace and quiet and happiness, right? And the next one is significance. And these are the people that are loud and show off and always, they've got to be the big noise of the crowd and the entertainer, the person that needs constant validation, the joker or the victim. Like there's always somebody that's got a story that's, oh, that happened to me. Oh, but this happened to me. Like it's worse, right? Or the oversharing of family people, like children, grandchildren, because it's so significant, right? Now, a classic example for that, for the significance, is me and all my paramedic friends. And as a paramedic, we all know that we are the most trusted profession. People love us. We walk into any house and we're like gods to them. So that ticked my significant box, right? AMBOs are significant because, we change lives, we help people, things like that. So that is a form of significance. And then we've got the number 4, which is love and connection, which is my people pleasers. Hello, that was me. Self-sabotaging. Hello, that was me. Self-abandoning. Hello, again, that was me. And not belonging. That was all like love and connection. When you're looking for it externally, everybody else has that control. So somebody takes love away from you, it depletes you, it devastates you, right? So your love and connection with people, it's so important. So that's why you people please and you self-abandon and you self-sabotage because you don't want to not belong, you don't want to be a part of the pack, you don't want to be thrown out of the tribe. So do you get the pattern here, guys? The top 4 are all usually unless you've done this work or living a very conscious lifestyle, they're all met externally. All of them. So what happens is, until you actually do the work, do the healing, and start to fill these needs yourself, you are always going to be in the hands of other people, situations, work, relationships, friends, kids, whatever. Now, for example, after my accident, and I have to use this as an example because it was such a wake-up call to me. I had no idea why I spiraled so significantly after my accident and then not being able to go back to work. Like, I could not understand the depression and the feelings that went with not being able to put my uniform back on, not being able to go back to my workplace, to the place that I loved. So what happened was, I figured out, with a lot of help, that my entire needs were met at work. When I couldn't go back, that was like an ego identity death. Okay? So you think about it. Safety, comfort and certainty was, I knew what I was going in. I knew every week where my job was. I would be doing a particular shift. I knew that the situation would be 1 minute hostile, next minute happy, could be this, could be that. It was just how it was. So my safety, certainty and comfort was suddenly gone. My variety and change was gone. No more different shifts, different people, different jobs, different environments, different stories. Like, that was gone. My significance was the biggest hit. I no longer wore a uniform, so who was I? Like I said in my introduction, I just thought I was an Ambo. That's it. I suddenly had nobody telling me that I was important anymore. So my validation and my significance was gone. And then my love and connection. Oh, man. That was a friggin' killer. I lost nearly 30 years of friendships and colleagues. And it's not anyone's fault, and it's not that anybody, it wasn't nasty or anything. It's just that when you're no longer in that environment and you're not sharing those spaces with people, you don't have a connection anymore. Like, you don't. I used to go to functions and I just felt so out of it. I wasn't part of the station anymore. I didn't know the stories. I didn't know what jobs they were talking about. So you started to feel more and more out. You didn't belong. You 100% did not belong. So you think about those times where, those needs, so all of those needs were all met externally. So when it was taken away from me, I crashed and burned. And you can say, oh, that wouldn't happen to me. I would never have even known any of this. So what I'm trying to get people to do is find ways to fill those needs yourself before you get to a stage where it's taken away from you. So your safety, comfort and certainty, to fill those by yourself, that's all about self-love, self-care, nervous system regulation, your environment, boundaries. Boundaries are a must with self-trust, self-love, self-care. Because you don't have boundaries, well, you'll just get back into your old people-pleasing and procrastinating and self-sabotage. You need boundaries with the self-love, self-care, nervous system regulation. Variety and change. Rather than relationship hopping or, job hopping or having affairs or finding anything bigger and better than what you've already got. The grass is always greener, that type of stuff. Do some charity work. Get some new hobbies. Take yourself out on dates. Like, start looking at things that you can do differently that give you a dopamine hit in a healthy way, not an unhealthy. Like this sudden dopamine hit that people get for, instant gratification. It's not worth it. Get the dopamine through doing something, through progress. okay? That's the best way to do this. And your significance, if you do something for someone, do it because you want to, not because you expect a reward or not because you want them to call you and say thank you. I used to have this debate with people and they'd say, oh, I gave so-and-so something and they didn't even bother saying thank you. And I'm like, well, why'd you give it to them? Did you just give it to them because you wanted to or because you felt that you needed to be validated? Now, this is the thing. People don't understand. That's why they're actually doing it most of the time. They need validation. They need to feel significant. They need to feel the love and connection. And this is where you've got to ask, which part of this is not fulfilling that need for me? But if you're going to do things for people just because it makes you feel good, then beauty, go do it. That's awesome. You can be significant in so many ways and not even tell people. You don't have to be out there sprouting at what you're doing or what you've done for someone or charity work or whatever. You can just go do it to make yourself feel good. Take yourself down the beach, help someone at the shops. Like the other day, I saw these two old ladies digging deep for hot cross buns. And I know, it's so crazy, right? And I had the last packet of hot cross buns in my hand and they just looked at me and I said, do you two want this? And they went, no, it's okay, it's yours. And I said, no. I said, if you two are going off to have a cup of tea right now, I said, I'll hand them over to you. And they just looked at each other and giggled like they were elderly. And they said, well, we actually were. And I said, well, here you go. I'll just go down and find some somewhere else. And you know what? I didn't have to do that, but I did it because I wanted to. And I just felt really good within myself that I paid it forward. And I said, here you go and enjoy your cup of tea. Didn't do me any harm. I went down, got a couple from, I don't know, Baker's Delight or something. But this is what I mean. Just do things that make you feel good because you want to, not because you have to, not for validation, not for significance. Do it because you want to. Now, the love and connection, it goes back to self-love and the flow, and be okay to say no to people. Set your boundaries, right? With the love and connection, it's more about healthy relationships, not these relationships where we're, having to do the push-pull reward thing like the carrot and stick that I spoke about. This is about just compassion and compromise and communication and genuine want to spend time with you, want to hang out with you because you're so cool. And I don't want anything from you and I don't want you to expect anything from me, but hey, let's just hang out. When you hang out with people like that, it's so awesome. And when there's no agenda, man, how good is it? I spent most of my life maintaining friendships. And I know now why I take my hat off to myself, because over my 40 years or 49 years before I, woke up, I maintained a lot of friendships, but I realised it was me that was maintaining them. And when I stopped maintaining them, it went very quiet. And that's okay. That's because I needed validation and I needed to be love and connected with people, and I needed, safety, comfort and certainty, because that's what I grew up in. I grew up in, not knowing who was going to be there for me, so I would hold on to anything that felt safe and secure and loved to me. Not anymore. I have so many boundaries, and the people that are in my life now are there for the right reasons, and I'm grateful for all the lessons I've had over life, and I'm grateful for the beautiful memories and opportunities I've had with people, but I'm also well aware now that my time and my energy and my presence is precious. So they're your 4 top needs, guys. And then the last 2, which I'll finish off on, is growth and contribution. Now, growth is obviously, doing the work, and growth and contribution are soul-driven. The top 4 are ego-driven, and the ego always gets first bite of the cherry, as I've said before. And the growth is all about learning to meet these needs yourself, right? But the contribution is, what can I do to serve, not what can it do for me. So guys, have a look at where you're needing to start really filling these core needs yourself, and look at what you're afraid of, and really start to question your patterns, your programs, the things that you see that you've kept doing or you've passed on to your family. I know for sure I passed on some shocking traits, but I'm working on that, and I've spent the last few years helping my family change that, and I'm super proud of that. And the contribution now is what I do now. I serve because I want to share, and I love to share all this information with everybody and get this out there as much as I can, because it is imperative that people learn about themselves and why they do what they do. So guys, on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you, and see you next week. Have a fabulous week.